in advance. And so I love that song, I Am a Friend of God. I have to chuckle when I hear it though, because I immediately think, oh good, I'm a friend of God. Not you. It's my friend, or she's my friend, you know. Which leads me right to this, to the message this morning, which is about envy. Envy. And its sister, jealousy. And it's kind of like the opposite of love, you know, in a way. Or it's very intertwined with love. Especially in Valentine's Day, we talk about, you know, our love, our true love. You know, getting a Valentine's Day card. And why did I get a card and you didn't get a card? Or why did you get a card and I didn't get a card? And how come that person sent a card? And how come that person's my Valentine and that person's not my... And all of this comparing and contrasting and this notion, you know, that there's something that I want that you have and something that I have that I'm afraid I'm going to lose. Sort of like it's going to slip out of my hands because it's, you know, after all, mine. So I got to tell you a story about something that happened this week. Some people already know the story, but I'm going to tell it. I'll tell it again. It's about my neighbor and friend's new Prius. Brand new Prius. Wow, it's so beautiful, it's so shiny, it's so new, and it has like power. Remember I told you the story about going to Georgia and couldn't get up the mountain? Remember that? Anybody who was here when I told you that story? Well, you know, the new Prius has a power button. Like it has like a special little thing that, you know, you can like push yourself up the hill. It gives you extra power. Mine doesn't have that. I have a 2008 Prius. It's got 130,000 miles on it. In my house, at my house, I don't have an awning. You know, I park my car in the swale. So the sun from Florida has destroyed the top coat. You know what I'm talking about? Where it starts peeling, it looks like the car has acne or something. So, you know, and it's like, it bothers me, and I don't know why I crave and cling around this stuff, and I don't know why I have this, what the Hindus call kama, you know, K-A-M-A, kama, which not karma, but, and then it definitely will create karma, but kama is desire. So I got this desire for my shiny Prius with this beautiful top coat, you know, and, oh my goodness. So when Michael pulls up with his brand new, beautiful blue, like aquamarine Prius that has a sunroof, and it even has like powered solar panels, and it's got all kinds of gadgets in it, and it's just like so cool. I immediately want it. And I really despise my Prius. I hope it doesn't hear me. Love you. No, it's okay. You know, and in the Vedantic teaching, in the Hindu teaching, you hear about raga and dvesha, and that just is Sanskrit for attachment and aversion. You know, so that we're constantly chasing after objects, people, places, things to attach ourselves to, so that they'll be ours, that we can possess it. And we also have aversion, you know, when we have this hatred or, you know, disdain for stuff that is like getting ugly or old or worn out, or even the point of trying so hard to not lose something that we're attached to. Now, in the Buddhist teaching, this is also, you know, this is what Buddha talks about with the Four Noble Truths. So that the first truth, the first noble truth, is that, guess what? Life is suffering. Oh, that's terrible. I hate that idea that life is suffering. What does that mean? I thought we were supposed to be all about life is joy. Well, he's talking about Maya. He's talking about illusion. He's talking about in this world of matter, because we crave and cling for that which is ever changing and always going to be elusive to us, we suffer. So life is suffering. He says dukkha, calls it dukkha. And he says the origin of this is because we crave and cling for that which is elusive, for that which we can't have. Our looks. You look in the mirror, and 10 years goes by, and 20 years goes by, and then it's like, oh my God, what is that? When I look at videos of myself, I'm like, oh my God, what is that happening underneath my chin? Like, what is that? Like, I don't even recognize that. Who is that person? Because the who I am, the who I amness, is not this body. Obviously, because it's changing. I'm a different grace than I was when I was 30. Definitely different than when I was 20. Buddha says the third noble truth is about detaching from that which we crave and cling, and there's the cessation of dukkha. So there's how we could stop suffering. Just detach from that which you cannot really attain and hold on to. And then the fourth Buddha, the fourth noble truth, of course, is the Eightfold Path. So from a spiritual perspective, when I talk about envy and jealousy and wanting what other people have, and the whole Priya story with Michael, it's just like, oh my God, why can't I just feel like happy for my friend? Why can't I just be, because it's all about me, see? It's always all about me. And that's my ego. That is my ego thinking I'm separate from Michael. Instead of seeing that, Michael is divine and I am divine and this Prius doesn't really exist, because it really doesn't. Fast forward that tape, and 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 50 years from now, 1,000 years from now, that Prius that's so shiny and new that Michael has, it's not going to be here. It's non-existent. Therein lies the illusion of stuff that we think is forever and real. Even our relationships. Even our relationships. This is where we have the hardest time detaching. Because we love each other so much. It's really not much different than the love we have for objects we possess. I know some of you might be going, oh, I used to like her, but now I don't. Because I don't know what she's talking about. Like an object is the same as a relationship. But when you think about it, all relationships will end. They will either end because I die or they die. They change over time. They have a life cycle of their own. Think about your own relationships and your own stories, right? And then if you believe in reincarnation, then you know that, hey, you know how many wives and husbands I've had? You know how many mothers and fathers I've had? You know how many brothers and sisters I've had? You know how many friends I've had? You know how many coworkers I've had? Oh my God, thank God that we don't remember our last embodiment. For those of us who do and do past life regression, well, you can go there. But it's kind of a good thing that we're not like, because can you imagine all of the envy and jealousy that we've had in all of our embodiments? And all of that, talk about carrying around resentment. So from a spiritual perspective, envy and jealousy, which are emotions, and it's all about thinking that something is mine to have, thinking that I am separate from you. All of that is about ego. All of it. And ego, is something that we're bound to have in this embodiment. Like, we're limited by our humanness. We have a limited intellect. We're covered with a veil of what's called the vidya, ignorance. We have spiritual amnesia. We forgot who we are, and we think we are this body. So of course the ego fights like crazy. And one of its tools to survive is envy. Envy and jealousy, it's its weapons. It's its sword. It keeps itself alive. So the ego strives to remain alive. It doesn't want to be withdrawn. The ego doesn't want to be forgotten. The ego doesn't want to be diminished. The ego wants us to believe that it is real. So from a spiritual perspective, envy and jealousy kind of help to keep the ego going, right? This idea of separateness, that I am different from you. Well, when I do that, I'm all about names and forms. I'm all about this body, this mind, this personality, this intellect. Not at all about spirit. Not at all about the soul. The true essence, my true nature. It's also about ownership. It's also about, me and mine. And I just so that I could really capture it in my mind, on YouTube right before we came to the chapel, I was watching the Finding Nemo scene with the mine birds. What happens, I think, is Nemo is found on the pier or something, and then all of a sudden a whole bunch of birds come, and they're like, it starts with one, and he goes, mine, 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 mine. They want ownership of him. They want to eat him, basically. Don't I do that? Don't I do that? Don't I do that with wanting to be recognized? Recognize me. Please mention me. Please don't forget to say that I'm your friend. Please don't forget to say that, I'm more important and more valuable than anybody else. Again, this is all about feeding ego, right? It's all about ownership. Ownership of recognition, ownership of an object, ownership of a person. And this is the heart of competition. And this is where violence comes, and this is where war comes. My God is better than your God. This is my territory. Or, I know this is your territory, but it's mine now. Now, I was thinking about, the flowers don't really do that. The flowers in my garden, I don't think they do that. Each one is so beautiful, and the beautiful fragrance of them. There's these things, I don't know what they're called. They're like upside down tulips or something. They angel trumpets. Angel trumpets. And then my other favorite, the Mexican bluebells that I always talk about that die every day at 3 o'clock. But I don't think that the angel tulips? Trumpets. I don't think that those angel trumpets, I don't think that they say, I think that I'm much better looking than those gardenias over there. And the gardenia says, yeah, but I smell so much better than you. And I don't think that they feel like their fragrance is going to be taken away because of the other's fragrance. Because the bottom line is, I don't know what their consciousness is. And I hope someday I can find out what their consciousness is. But I wonder if they are just aware of the life force within them. That they are aware that they are spirit manifesting in different ways. That's all. And so it's about our uniqueness, but not our separateness. So that there's no duality, there's no me and you, there's no this or that, there's no multiplicity. And yet there is we look and we see this Maya, this beautiful Maya. That is so wondrous. The Bhagavad Gita says that. Oh, my wondrous Maya. Because wow, what beauty. What beauty in all these different flowers. But what makes us the same is the essence of who we really are. So listen, I know that envy and jealousy is the opposite of the awakening of the heart. Talking about Valentine's Day, we're talking about the heart, talking about the heart chakra. I know that when my heart chakra is opened, I cry. I'm not crying because I'm so sad. I'm crying because I'm aware of the God within me. It's like I get a peek into the fact that God is in me and I am in God. I am God. I am God. See, now here's where it gets really tricky. Because sometimes when I'm an ego, then I think I'm God. And you're not. You know? That's all ego stuff though, see? So that, and you know, we can't get mad at the ego. And we can't get mad at ourselves. I do. I was just told this, that I actually beat myself up too much for my defects. You know? Because I have envy. I have jealousy. I have it. I'm working on it, and I know I'm a work in progress. But here's the best part of this. I know that the universe smiles at me. I know that the universe is looking at me and going, I'm so proud of you that you're aware that you're being envious right now. I am so proud of you. Look at you, you're so cute, I love you. So that instead of like, oh, I need to be perfect, I need to walk on water, I need, you know what I mean? Wow, I'm gonna fall short because I'm bound by this limited body, right? At the end of the day, I know that the answer lies inward, not outward. I know at the end of the day that even if I got that Prius, and I actually started to go there for a few minutes in my mind. Well, let's see if I go to the dealer. And boy, do I hate what I have done to the front of my car to try to hide all of that like acne stuff that's going on in the car. Duct tape. I like the things that I'm doing to that Prius, forget it. So I was thinking about like, how can I go get a new car? Maybe I can get a new car. But I know that the answer lies within. And I know that the happiness and joy is an inside job. It's not an outside job. So the journey is within. It's there that I can find my true happiness. Inside that space where I have all that I need. See, because when I'm in envy and jealousy, and I'm in ego, and I'm in separateness, and I'm in duality, there is not enough. There isn't enough. But when I'm in the awareness that I am not my ego, that I am not this body, then the abundance and the prosperity, infinite. Infinite. The same with time. There's plenty of time. When I'm in ego, and when I'm in body, when I'm limited in this realm, in the physical realm, then time is limited. But when I tap in to the other realm, infinite. Inside that space within, in the true nature of self, there is no such thing as aloneness. Aloneness only happens in separateness. There's no such thing as aloneness. During Valentine's Day, some people feel lonely. The love that we feel for others is just a mirror image of the love of the divine. So it's really, when I love you and I feel that love for you in the physical realm, it's really just a glimpse. I'm getting a glimpse of the divine's love. So the mystical journey leads us away from the ego toward the self, from separation back to union, from turning away from the ego to turning back to the presence. Eckhart Tolle says, the presence with a capital P. We're led deep within ourselves to the innermost chamber of the heart. And that's what the Sufi terms the heart of hearts. So the spiritual work I have ahead of me is the awakening of this higher state of consciousness, this consciousness of the heart, this awakening of the heart, this inner transformation that brings us from ego to the self. Because the lover we seek is hidden within our heart. What we long for and desire in another is here within us. So scuba divers, go and they recover treasure, artifacts from the bottom of the ocean, and when they bring it up, it's got all of this impurities around it. Whatever they are, I don't know, there's probably some scientific marine biology term for it, but whatever it is, it's hiding the treasure. And they have to do a whole bunch of things. They have to purify it with chemicals and this and that and whatever, and I don't know the process, but I can tell you that they clean it and they polish it. And that restoration process then brings this beautiful artifact, this beautiful treasure. So I was thinking about this, and I'm like, okay, envy and jealousy are like the impurities that are around this beautiful artifact. All of those impurities, jealousy, hate, anger, resentment, pride, vanity, all of those are gross impurities around this beautiful artifact. And when things annoy us and bother us, and we get those pangs of jealousy or envy, or whatever they are, it's the restoration process. So, good news. Keep it coming, right? I'm interested in that. I want more of that. I need that. Because the inner journey is a process of purification where the mirror of the heart is polished. And it is this mirror that allows us the glimpse into our true nature. So the good news is that every time I'm rubbed, every time my ego gets bumped, every single time, and Rumi says, how can you ever be polished if you're annoyed by every rub? I know. But the treasure of my higher self is starting to shine through. And the recovery efforts have already taken place. And so now I'm in the stage of restoration.